And so now it's like, well, you know what? I do need those extra dollars that I'm going to have in my pocket. Because guess what? The cost of my health care is going up. Guess what? The cost of all the goods around me are going up because of the horrible, or some would say horrific, tariff policies that have been implemented. Like, it's not really giving you anything because we're taking more away from you than we're giving you. So it's just a gimmick so that hopefully they can build upon a group of people that is beyond just the billionaires. They need to bring somebody else in to believe that this bill is going to help them as well.
Hey y'all, welcome to True Voice, where we say what needs to be said, unapologetically and unfiltered. I'm your host, Andrew, and if you're tired of the noise and ready for the truth, hit that subscribe button right now and ring that bell so you don't miss what's next. Today, we're diving into a WFAA interview with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and let me just say this up front. This woman is not here to play games. She's bringing fire, facts, and fearless truth.
Congresswoman, welcome back here. Let's start with the Republican spending bill. You called it BS. You called it a cruel bill as well, too. It's going to eliminate Medicaid health insurance for 130,000 constituents of yours, SNAP benefits or food stamps for another 115,000. You spent the week hearing from constituents. What kind of questions do they have about this? This is the first time you've talked to them, I presume, since it's passed.
Yeah. You know, I think that it's always important that we go home and we talk to the people that are going to be impacted and find out what it is that they know and find out what it is that concerns them the most. The number one question I had is, do people understand why this bill is bad and why there is nothing beautiful in it? And I can tell you that Texas 30, God bless them, because they listen to real news and they absolutely understand that these cuts are devastating and there is no good reason for the cuts. So that's number one. Number two, you know, I think that the Republican Party has tried to run away from Elon Musk for sure, but Elon Musk still looms. And so there were definitely still questions about the things that Doge did, because honestly, now we're talking about cuts to SNAP. Now we're talking about cuts to Medicaid. And so people are trying to kind of figure out, well, was this Doge? What's happening? What is Doge doing? And so I had to actually go through and explain that Doge really was supposed to be advisory. That is all it ever was supposed to do. I had to go ahead and reassert that it is Congress that has the power of the purse, and that Congress should have been listening to recommendations and then making a final decision. But ultimately, Doge was going in and doing all kinds of random stuff, things that we still don't know the full extent of what it is that they've done.
Without Congress at all.
Without Congress.
And your constituents were asking about this, asking about Doge.
They were asking about Elon, which Elon is synonymous for Doge.
Sure.
And then, you know, they were concerned about their Social Security. So they said, are the Social Security cuts in this as well? And I said, no. But I did explain to them that they are trying to choke off resources in a lot of different ways. So while it may not be on the balance sheet, when you start to shut down Social Security offices, when you start to get rid of the personnel, you end up in this bottleneck where people cannot access the resources that they need. And so this is a better way of saying, oh, this is just inefficient government, instead of saying that we directly targeted Social Security. It's a more indirect targeting that they are doing on things such as Social Security, as well as Veterans Affairs.
The Republican spending bill also, it increases property tax deductions, which is helpful to Texas. It also eliminates taxes from tips and overtime. That's a benefit for your constituents as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you can say that. Not really. I mean, here's the reality. There are so many of our workers that work on tips that literally are not making ends meet to the extent that they even are required to pay a hefty portion as it relates to income taxes in the first place. That's number one. Number two, if you were talking about an impact that was somewhat proportional, then yeah, maybe I would agree with you. But if you're going to get rid of tax on tips, a lot of people that work on tips don't necessarily even have health care, right? And so now it's like, well, you know what? I do need those extra dollars that I'm going to have in my pocket, because guess what? The cost of my health care is going up. Guess what? The cost of all the goods around me are going up because of the horrible, or some would say horrific, tariff policies that have been implemented. Like, it's not really giving you anything because we're taking more away from you than we're giving you. So it's just a gimmick so that hopefully they can build upon a group of people that is beyond just the billionaires. They need to bring somebody else in to believe that this bill is going to help them as well.
What do you expect the bill to look like, though, when it leaves the Senate? Do you think it'll resemble what the House passed?
No, I don't. I think
what won't make it?
So here's the deal. When you look at House members, our districts are approximately 766,000 people. And depending on your district, you may not have one hospital in it. But when you start talking about, say, the Senate side, especially some of our senators that are coming from these big, very rural states, they understand a lot better than somebody who say, I'm going to vote this way because I don't want to be on Trump's bad side, versus that senator who says, you know what, this means we're going to have less hospitals. I'm going to have X amount of hospitals in my state that are going to shut down because of a lack of resources. Or it's the senators that understand that more people in rural America use SNAP benefits than urban America. And they're saying, listen, these people aren't going to be able to eat. But more importantly, because I'm from this big rural state, my farmers, they're not going to be able to survive either. Because just because you remove $330 billion from the ecosystem, which is the amount that they pulled out for SNAP, it doesn't mean that that money comes back in. So if you're that farmer that is trying to anticipate and plant, you know what, now there's going to be this money that's out. It doesn't just reappear because we removed it from the federal government. So now you're talking about the farmers that are going to struggle. So I think that the senators, because their constituency is an entire state and they have to deal with all the issues, I know that the Senate is going to give us something different. Now, how different and where those differences will lie, we'll only find out in time.
And there's a deadline for this. I mean, they can't mess with it all summer, right?
Well, the speaker, when he was making his argument during the wee hours of the morning to get this stupid bill passed, he was saying that the Senate had till July 4th. So I don't know. That feels like an internal deadline that they put on themselves. But even saying that, there really was an error, in my opinion, as it relates to the calculation of the speaker. Now, the speaker, on one hand, may have said, you know what, I got to work throughout the night. Hopefully some of the Democrats will be asleep and will miss the vote or something. I've got to do this when everybody else is asleep. So hopefully America will not know how bad this bill is, and we can do this in the middle of the night. But it may have just been, you know what, let me get this passed so that I can say I got it out the House and I can get a good boy from the president, right? Like, I think it could have been that. Mind you, this bill passed with one vote.
Right.
With one vote is all it passed with. And we've lost 3 members of Congress since I've sworn in just this cycle. And one of them we lost just this week. So literally losing 3 members of Congress, them all being on the Democratic side. And we're talking about a bill that passed by one vote. At the same time, allowing all of this time to kind of sit around and allowing people to start digging through this bill, I think that that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons that the Senate is going to be obligated, or at least going to feel obligated, to turn out a better bill.
Yeah, people will take it apart.
Yeah.
You're interested in taking the Democrats' top spot on the House Oversight Committee, the main investigative committee there in the House.
Yeah.
Why do you want that position?
I don't know how bad I want it, but I absolutely think that my team needs me. I think that this is where the country needs me and where the caucus needs me to be in this moment. If we didn't have such a lawless administration, then I wouldn't be running, because the tradition within the House is that it's kind of a seniority thing. Whoever's kind of been there longest, that's who should end up kind of rising to the ranks. But in this scenario, my experience with being a trial lawyer, as I'm the only trial lawyer that's actually in this race, I know how to put a case together. And I know how to defend a case as well. And that is going to be really important, because I need to make the case to the American people that not only is Trump a problem, but each and every one of these House Republicans that has decided to go along, to get along, they are a problem as well. They are complicit in all of the harm that is now being inflicted on the American people. So, you know, once we get to the majority, which I'm hoping and praying we get to, next cycle, that allows me to start to open up and do the things that would look like an impeachment. Now, whether or not we would put it to a vote, you know, he's been impeached twice, couldn't get convicted. There's a lot of things to consider about whether or not to go forward. But one of the things that we saw that they did very effectively last cycle is that they decided that they were going to put Joe Biden into the trial of public opinion. And they went after his son, Hunter Biden. And they were saying because Hunter was having issues that Joe must have issues. And so what they were doing is they were tearing down Joe Biden as well as the Democrats at the same time. And so I think that there's something to be said for us digging in when there's real things to look at, such as this $400 million plane from the Qataris and whether or not that's a violation of the emoluments clause of the Constitution. I think that we need to dig into all this crypto nonsense that he's got going on. I think we need to dig into the fact that it looks like he's giving out pardons for play. You give me money, I will give you, your friends, your whoever you want, a pardon. Like, these things are the things that we typically consider to be ethical issues at a very minimum and at a very high corruption. And so, I'll tell you that of everybody in this race, Donald Trump doesn't call their names. If there's one person that he probably does not want on the other side of him, it is me going after him and digging in and making sure that the American people understand why he is a problem. And, maybe we can even get some Republicans on our side to recognize that this is really bad. And the public, Democrats, Republicans, or independents, don't believe that he is fit or qualified to be our president.
Let's say you were elected to ranking member and the Democrats take the House and you become chair of that committee. Would you pursue impeachment?
I would absolutely at least do an inquiry. Absolutely. I mean, I think that there's more than enough to inquire about. We know, well, we don't know. We still don't even know. I brought up Elon Musk a little bit earlier. We don't understand what all they were doing, what kind of deals were even made for Elon to be given this amount of privilege. The firing of the inspectors generals, he went in, next thing you know, inspector generals that were investigating Elon, they're getting fired. And then the pressure that he's put on various organizations. We saw that the merger with Verizon was able to take place only once they said no diversity, equity, or inclusion. We know that they have put a ridiculous amount of pressure and seemingly are trying to pull back resources from the likes of Harvard because Harvard decided that they were going to push back against his illegality. We know that he's shaken down so many of these law firms for free legal fees because he's going to need them, because the one thing that we know is that he likes to violate the law, whether it's criminal or civil. So these things need to be fleshed out, and we need to fully understand. And in fact, that's the Trump stuff. And the reason I bring up the Trump stuff is because there is one committee in the Congress that has the authority to actually do oversight over the president. It's the Oversight Committee. It is the only one that has that ability. And so I think that we need to make sure that we do it. I think that no matter what happens, history needs to know the truth.
Two last questions here. You said recently it's time for Republicans to start talking more about President Trump's mental acuity. And obviously they did that when President Biden was in office. Why do you think that they should do that now?
Well, listen, and I'll tell you, I mean, I'll go down defending Joe. I can't tell you that I've ever had an incident where I questioned Joe Biden's mental acuity, and definitely had no questions about the people that he surrounded himself with, that's for sure. Yeah. Now, when you are at a West Point graduation and you spend time talking about trophy wives, when you spend time talking about how you've been investigated to the likes of a Al Capone, when you spend your time literally in a very serious solemn moment that should be one of solemnness, but also of celebration for people that have decided that they are going to commit themselves, and some of them may even end up losing their lives in service of our freedoms in this country. And this is what you decide to do while wearing a MAGA hat. I don't know how you can look at that. I don't know how you can look at, and maybe he's just illiterate, because, there also was the issue with him reading a teleprompter recently, and he could not say the words that were on the teleprompter as it relates to crypto. So I'm I just think that we really, really, really need to wonder. This is the guy that would go off about sharks and whales and windmills and all the things. I mean, seriously, if it was me as just a member of Congress, I wouldn't be anywhere near being a U.S. representative. So how he's become the president of the United States is still beyond me, and how he continues to operate in this very ridiculous fashion. I mean, all you got to do is read the script, sir. Just read. And I know that stuff isn't on the script, right? And he can't even do that.
Yeah, he does freelance quite a bit on his scripts or on his speeches. Last thing here for you. Your name is showing up on polling for 2028. Do you have aspirations to lead your party or run for a national office?
No.
What do you make of that, then, your name showing up on this polling?
I think that people just have found a way to connect with me. And I think, there was a point in which people in the party, well, within parties, not within our specific party, felt like, oh, she's black and she's proud, so only black people will listen to her. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, maybe just liberals will listen to her. And now it's become clear, as I have been out in various cities throughout this country, where I've had Republicans walk up to me and tell me how much they like me. Tell me that they
you haven't. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
You'd be surprised. Oh, yeah.
But considering all that, you wouldn't have aspirations, going into 2026, looking forward, looking at something bigger?
2026?
Yeah, well, I mean, going into 2026, as people start looking at, who's going to run for 2028.
Yeah, no, I want to do what I can to hopefully make sure that we win. So I'm a team player. So just like I was...
Win the majority back in Congress.
Win the majority back in Congress, but also win the presidency going into 2028. As you know, I travel the country on behalf of Kamala Harris.
Sure.
And ultimately, wherever we get with a nominee, I want to support in any way that I can. So I'm going to do my part, but you know what? I don't know that politics is really my place. It's a different life. You and I have known each other for some time, and so you know that I did criminal defense work, and I worked with true blue criminals and never had to worry about death threats. And waking up and having to deal with death threats, having to think about, where I go, how much security I have on me because of all the hateful rhetoric that is circling, and a lot of it is spewed directly from the President of the United States himself. I just don't know that that's really a life that I want to live for an extended amount of time. But I can tell you that I am so honored to have an opportunity to serve in the role that I serve in. And I will continue to serve so long as the people of Texas 30 give me this opportunity.
Congresswoman, thank you. Great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
All right, let's talk about the first thing that jumped out to me, her takedown of the Republican spending bill. Jasmine called it cruel and BS. And honestly, she's absolutely right. Cutting Medicaid for over 130,000 people in her district alone, slashing food assistance for another 115,000, that's not fiscal responsibility, that's targeted cruelty. And then Republicans try to distract us with shiny little benefits like eliminating taxes on tips, as if that's going to fix the fact that people can't afford health care or pay rent. Crockett sees straight through that and calls it what it is, a gimmick. They're taking a dollar from your left hand and tossing a quarter into your right. Then she starts talking about Doge, not the meme coin, but some advisory body led by Elon Musk, who apparently had his hands in all kinds of decision-making without Congress even knowing the full extent of it. That's dangerous. That's corporate overreach and shadow governance in plain sight. And the most frustrating part? Her constituents had to ask what was going on. Because the system isn't transparent. It's not designed for the people. It's protecting billionaires, not working families. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Representative Crockett is considering going for the top Democratic seat on the House Oversight Committee. And when I tell you I was nodding through every word, listen, she's not doing it for power. She's doing it because the American people need someone who knows how to put a case together. A trial lawyer, ready to fight corruption and hold Trump and his neighbors accountable. And let's be honest, if the Democrats take back the House and she ends up chairing that committee, she says she'd absolutely launch an impeachment inquiry. Not for show, not out of spite, but because there's more than enough to investigate, from shady pardons to foreign money to crypto schemes. And then she hits on something the media barely touches, Trump's mental fitness. You want to talk about West Point graduations and MAGA hats and rambling about sharks and windmills? The man reads like he's never seen a teleprompter in his life. If Biden had even one of these slip-ups, Fox News would be on a 24-hour meltdown. But Trump? Crickets. Let's be real. This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. Now, there's been chatter about her popping up in 2028 presidential polling. And while she shuts that down, the fact that she's being mentioned at all speaks volumes. People are hungry for bold, grounded leadership, for truth tellers. And Jasmine Crockett is one of the few actually fighting for us. Not corporations, not lobbyists, not billionaires. If we want real change, we need more leaders like her. And if you're fired up like I am, share this video. Tell your friends. Stay informed. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button right here on True Voice, because the fight is far from over and we're just getting started. I'm Andrew. Stay loud, stay proud, and stay true.